have a seat. Let's check out this video.
It's okay. I would cheer harder for them as well. No worries, no worries. Well, what's up, high school service? How are we doing tonight? Let's go. Well, let me say this. If you loved that worship, then I promise you, you would love Easter on the Field. And if you love Easter on the Field, I promise you, you're going to love heaven. So come to Easter on the Field. It's going to be awesome. Hey, so I'm super excited for tonight. One, because we are in a brand new series, kicked it off last week called Dating 101, and I'm excited for it. One, because y'all need it. Two, because it's going to be an awesome, awesome series as we continue in it really until the end of the year. It's going to be an incredible series. Super excited for tonight as well because I have some friends. I have 3 people joining me tonight. This is my wife, Haley, and our son, Judah. Yeah. Let's go. Cute. And then our friend Leanna, who's also Pastor Landon's wife. Give it up for Leanna.
No babies on the side, no babies here.
Let's go. They're also small group leaders, high school small group leaders. So shout out to all the small group leaders out there. So I didn't do this in the first service. Leanna, I think that something we've all been wondering and something I would like to start out by asking you is, how are you married to Landon? What?
That's a good question.
I'm just kidding.
You tell me.
Don't have to answer that. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm honoring my pastor. He's my friend. He's a great husband, great dad. That was a joke. So, but really, so we're in this new series called Dating 101. And last week, we kind of talked about how a lot of times when we start conversations about dating, which is what we're going to do tonight, we're going to have a conversation about dating from a girl's perspective. So when we do that, a lot of times we start with, well, when should I start dating? Or who should I start dating? Or what should dating look like for me? Like boundaries and all that stuff. But really, last week, what we landed on is the more important question for us to answer is why? Why should we start dating? And we said that the whys know the why. So if you want to date in a way that is wise, then you have to understand the reason you're dating in the first place. And what we said is, hey, if you want to glorify God, you have to understand that that's the reason you date. It's the reason we're on this earth. It's the reason we have any relationship, and even dating, the reason we date is so that we can glorify God through that, right? And so the wise understand that. The wise understand the why. They know the why. Now, we also understand that romantic relationships, were designed by God to be between a man and a woman, okay? A guy and a girl. And so we're going to start out, next week, we're going to talk about Guys 101. But tonight, we're going to be talking Girls 101. And the reason I am not up here alone is because I don't know a single thing about what it looks like to be in the mind of a girl. Not a single thing. And for what I've heard from guys that are much older and much wiser than me, you're never going to figure it out, all right? So, guys, what we're going to do right now is we're going to practice something. It's called listening. We're going to listen, all right, to some women who, by the way, are 2 of the most godly women that I know, and they really, really care about you guys. They care about the next generation, and they care about how you date. Okay, it's super, super important to them, and they want to see you guys be successful in dating, be successful in glorifying God through dating. And so we're going to ask the question to start tonight off that all the guys in the room are wondering, what in the world is going on in y'all's brains? What is it? Amen, guys? What is going on? Yeah. So what's going on in the mind of a girl?
Yeah, I want to start off by saying I wonder the same things
a lot of times. Like, I
Sure.
don't know about
A
you
lot of
girls,
time.
but I'm like,
Yeah.
what is happening in there? Why? Why is this happening, right? So
Yeah.
we're going to do our best to answer that question, even though we don't fully know.
Yep.
But I would love, Leanna, if you could just open us up with really letting us into some of your brain.
Oh,
Yeah, I think she brought something.
Let me just turn off this little
Yeah.
iPad. Okay, so this is going to be the start of a new series called Storytime with Leanna. Okay,
We're really
this
excited.
is Haley's new cute bag. Will you hold my iPad?
Yeah,
Thank you. Very cute.
This is already so different than what it
This
would
is
be
an
like if I
ad.
was by myself.
If you want a
up here.
discount, just DM me. I'm just kidding. I don't
It's
get a
nice and
discount.
aesthetically beautiful. Okay, so this is not. This is my journal from 7th grade, okay? How nice. You see the Sharpie on the front? Real creative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is Landon in the room in this one? Because I said that last time and it was
There he
awkward.
is.
There he is, baby.
Let's
These
go.
are for you, okay? All right, so this was a journal I started in the 6th grade with some letters to my husband.
Oh, this is going to be gold.
Okay, all right, here we go. Love. Love is when you can't sleep because for the first time, reality is better than your dreams.
Wow.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right, number 2. We were given 2 hands to hold, 2 feet to walk, 2 eyes to see, but only 1 heart because the other match was given to your true love for you.
Let's go. Hey, can we get, hold on, can we
Right?
get some snaps?
Get some
Snaps
snaps
for
for
that,
that
come
one,
on.
right? Okay.
That's good.
So
Beautiful.
I probably
Beautiful.
found those quotes on whatever existed before Pinterest, but the inside of the journal is actually what I wrote. So we're gonna have some crowd participation. Do you want the dentist story or the peanut butter and jelly story? What do we think? Wait, 1, 2, 3, go.
They said both. We're going to pick one for time's sake. Let's go peanut butter
Peanut butter jelly. All right, peanut butter jelly time.
Both are great. You can ask her about it after. Yeah.
Come on.
You're welcome. Okay, we got June 21st, 2008.
What
For-
time? What time?
1:01 p.m. I was 14 years old. Hey, love. Oh gosh. Yummy. I just had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. For some reason, the only peanut butter and jelly sandwiches I like are the ones I make, which is still true. But my mom made this one. Well, comma, nothing else. Okay, then I went back later and said, okay, I guess I never really finished this one, I guess. So for some reason, I just really wanted my future husband to know that at 1:01 p.m. on the 21st of June, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So guys, if you're wondering like, what are they thinking about? Okay, we just like want you to know these things about us. We want you to know that like the peanut butter and jellies that we make are better than our moms, right? We just want you to know those details, okay? And we're thinking about that in the 7th grade.
And for all the guys that just leaned over and made a joke about a woman making a sandwich right now, all right, first of all,
Oh,
you're here
don't
for
do
a
it.
reason.
Don't
okay?
even do
you're
it.
here for a
That's why
reason.
you're
Get
here.
your notebooks out and shut up and listen. Continue.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Alex.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was important. The love quotes and then the PB and J and how all of that just goes together in our
Yep.
brains.
So you guys want some relationship advice right here.
But seriously, when we think about the girl brain, right? How do we think? Well, I think generally, stereotypically, and girls who are like, I'm not emotional, don't like start fighting me about this. But we tend to be more emotional than guys. That's just a truth. That's not a weakness of ours. Like, I feel like I hate this new thing where that seems like we're weak. We are not weak. We're just emotional. Like, and that's fine. That's just how we are. And there are statistics that back this up of how our brains are created differently. And one of those is that women tend to think with both sides of their brain most of the time, okay? So the right side, which is this like emotional, artsy, all of that. Left side, like logic, math, all that kind of stuff. We tend to combine those. So like when we think about this, we attach an emotion to it without even trying. That's just what we do. Whereas guys, they tend to use just one side at a time. So that's like, I use this example in middle school. Like when my dad was always like, it's just a dog. And I'm like, excuse me, what did you just say? No, that is my baby girl. Like, don't you dare say something about her, right? So we attach these things with emotions every single time. So we brought a little illustration to kind of let you all in on the woman brain.
Hey guys,
And
buckle up.
yeah, and we made it pretty because, we're girls. Okay, so Pastor Landon kind of talked about this last week about how some of our desires, so why do we date? And one of those he talked about was security, which I think is pretty accurate, right? We want to feel safe, we want to feel secure. And so, like I said, we attach emotions with thinking. So this is happening in our brain. So we think about security. So we're going to start with security, right? So we have a lock to address security, okay? Well, you'll notice there's a string on this, and that's purposeful because when we think about one thing, we think about a million things, okay? It's not just one thing. So as we're thinking about security, we also think about being seen, right? So we want to be seen. We want people to see us. We want people to see how we are, that we want them to like our clothes. Mainly, we just want the girl next to us to like our clothes. We don't wear our clothes for you guys. I don't know if you think that we do. Really, we're like, oh, does she think this is cute? So we think about how we're seen, right? But then also, while we're thinking about being seen, we're also thinking about being a little insecure. We're like, oh, but what if I don't look cute? Or what if what they see they don't like? And so I'm a little insecure about that. And then we want affirmation. So we think about insecurity, and we think about, oh, I need to be affirmed, right? So I want someone to tell me that this looks fine, and that my skirt is cute, and that all these things, right?
That's a love note that I wrote, by the way.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. No, it's not.
You're making me look bad.
But, yeah. So we're thinking, but guys, remember, this is all still thinking about security. So we're thinking about security, but somehow we're ending up here with love notes. But then we're afraid, right? They say that they like me, but what if they actually don't like me? Or what if they're lying? What if she doesn't like this shirt I'm wearing, right? So we're insecure, but we want to be affirmed, but then we're afraid after we're affirmed that maybe they're affirming us, but they don't mean it, and we're still thinking about being seen. So this is all we're still thinking about security. And then we think about being known. So we also want to be known, right? So this is a journal. So we want people to know us, and we want them to understand us. But then at the same time, we're kind of afraid that maybe we'll be rejected if we're known. So I want to be seen, I want to be known, but what if I'm rejected? I'm still feeling insecure, I'm kind of afraid, I want to be affirmed, but what if they don't mean it? And then we think about, we also want to be loved, right? So I want people to see me and know me and love me, but then at the same time, what if they don't love me forever, and then I'm heartbroken, and now I don't feel secure? And we're back to security, okay?
Y'all got that?
Yeah, everybody got it?
It's a little stressful.
You're all catching on, right? So, and I want you to know that we're not thinking about this and then 5 minutes later this and then this. We're thinking about all of this all the time. All at one time, like a millisecond, right? Am I right? Thank you. So, yes, and this is very stressful, right? So when I said that I don't really understand, this is what I mean. Okay, this is all one thought in the girl brain. So,
Yeah, so, here's the deal. I'm pretty sure that guys don't have that many thoughts in an entire day or a week, maybe ever, I don't know. But we are very, very different in that way, right? So, Leanna, bring some insight. Why do you think that is?
Okay, so we were designed that way. That is the answer. When God created the world, He created us in the image of Him, okay? And so I didn't go into this in middle school, but for high school, I recognize there may be some of you who are like, well, why should I even listen to the Bible? I would love to go into detail in that, but we've done an entire series about it. So if you're like, I don't know really the basis for why she's saying that, listen to the whole Change My Mind series. So I believe the Bible, and the Bible says God created us, male and female, He created them. That's Genesis 1:27. And so He has put certain attributes in men that reflect His image. He's also put certain attributes in women and the way He uniquely and carefully and intricately designed us that reflect His image. And so anytime we see the image of God in creation, We do not try to reject it, destroy it. That's why a whole host of things are wrong. That's why we value the image of God in people. And so when we see that we are made differently than men, that's not something to be ashamed of. That's not something to hide away from or try to remove from us. That's something instead to embrace and see as beautiful because God is beautiful.
Yeah,
and so... Good. Oh, yes, exactly. That's a good truth. God is beautiful, so that's a good thing about us. Okay, but there's also sin, right? Okay, that's the story of the Bible. There was creation, God made the world, we were made in his image, then the fall. Then we chose to sin. Adam and Eve chose to sin, and we would have done the same thing. Then there's redemption. Jesus came in, changed the story, and now he's restoring us into that initial perfect creation that he made. So, yes, we were made in the image of God, and that's beautiful, the way that our minds work. But in the same breath, we have to also renew our minds. And so, because we are emotional, there's different struggles that we may have as opposed to guys. And so, it's important to know, yes, that is a good thing and to be valued, but also to not see that as just permission to be like, I'm just emotional. Okay, but yes, God is bigger than emotions. So, all of that to answer your question.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So if that is how girls think, and we kind of talked about the reason that we were created, you guys were created that way, right? So if that's the way girls think, then what are their desires? Like what drives them in life, particularly in dating?
Yeah, I think one thing to go back to our brains is there's a lot of them, right? There's not just one thing, and one thing is connected to a million other things. But we kind of talked about three main things to kind of go under that idea of security is being seen, being known, and being loved. And I think those are honestly three desires that all of us have, guys and girls. But I would say that girls probably notice that about themselves more, and it's more evident. And so, yeah, I think being seen, known, and loved are the big ones.
Yeah, I think so. And so under the category of seen, to try to give you an idea of what we mean by that, I remember thinking this in high school, and it's still true for me today. If I had to boil down my fear, it would be that I am either not enough this or too much this, okay? So I'm not funny enough or I'm not thin enough. These are all of the things that girls, we worry about, we fear, that we are either not enough or we're too much of something. And so all we want is for someone to actually see us and then know us and love us. And so what the ideas that I listed, those may not be true for you, but I would encourage you to look at your life and the behaviors that you have, and to look at those and ask, in what ways am I trying to be seen? Because I've been in student ministry long enough, and I have been a student myself, that I know those are there, and they're not always healthy. You're trying to get something, but you're looking in the wrong places. So ask that, how am I trying to be seen?
Yeah, and then I think, again, being seen and then also known. And for me, that's probably the biggest one. I am super relational. So I want people to know me. And I want them, I think even more than that, to understand me. And I'm a confusing person. So that's kind of hard. But yeah, so being known and being understood. You amen in that over there?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, okay.
One of those, yeah.
He was, yeah.
Continue.
But, so I think ultimately, being known relationally, women love relational connection. We even see this in our friendships, right? Guys, I don't often see you posting about your friends. Not really. I don't see 15 happy birthday posts on your story when it's your friend's birthday. Girls, I see that all the time, right? And that's because we're relational. That's because that's how we work. I said this in middle school service. Still to this day, Leanna and I are friends. We're very secure in our friendship. I'm never I bet Leanna hates me. No, but every single time after we hang out with them, I'm texting Leanna, hey girl, just want to let you know I had so much fun. I just really love you so much. Thank you so much for listening to me, blah, 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 blah. And then she texts back, oh girl, love you so much. And we want to affirm one another. We want each other to know hey, I see you and I know you and I love you, right?
Just to be clear on that, Pastor Landon and I do not have those type of texting conversations after we bro down together. You know what I mean?
Time.
It's not hey, boy. Like, I don't even know how I would start. I would even start a text like that. It's like, hey, bro, I left my keys at your house. I gotta come back and get them.
Yes, but we even see this like when we look at the Relational Institute put out this like study, and 12 to 18-year-old girls said what they are thinking about the most during that time of their life is having a boyfriend. Okay, 12 to 18-year-old guys said that they were thinking about sex, cars, and sports. So that's how you see the difference. Like, we are relational. We're thinking about relationships. Guys, not so much, right? Someone said food. Yeah, we could probably add that to the list. Food, too. That's honestly for both, though. I don't know if it's just me, but, like, we can put that on our list as well. But, yeah, so we want to be known. We're super relational. And then I think, ultimately, we want to be loved for all of that. We want to be seen, known, and then we want to be loved for all of that. And in doing that, we feel secure when we're seen, known, and loved.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that last week. So people, not just girls, but generally girls, a lot of times date for that security, right? And kind of we're going to go into like what that kind of looks like. But the desires behind that are to be seen, known, and loved. I really I think that's so good. So if that is the why behind why a lot of girls date, behind why girls in general date, then what does that look like? How does that play out in actual relationships? How have you guys seen that in some of our girls?
So this is an entire series, so stick around if you want to see this is what that looks like practically when you're doing it well. But a couple examples of how that plays out in a faulty way. We've highlighted last week, Pastor Landon said, we've got a high commitment culture or a no commitment culture. And so I'm going to chat a little bit about the high commitment culture because that is how I dated. So in high school and middle school, I had a few relationships, but nothing that was serious enough to really ever be called like, oh, I'm dating someone until Pastor Landon. And I didn't call him Pastor then, I just called him Landon. I still don't call him that. But that was weird.
We go on a date with me? Yes, Pastor Landon, I will.
Oh, boy.
That's so weird.
So that was like end of junior year when I started dating him, and I waited a long time to really date someone. I do not regret that. I do not regret being very particular about who it was that I was going to spend my time with. I don't regret that in the slightest. What I do see some difficulty in is how committed Landon and I were, and he would tell you the exact same things, before we even got engaged. It was very obvious. We are dating because we want to get married. And so I think that's helpful to know. Yeah, that's why you date, to eventually find a husband. That's the end goal. You're not just going to date for the rest of your life. But the way that we dated was very emotionally intimate, was very spiritually intimate, and that sometimes, we've said before, can be just as dangerous as physical intimacy. Yeah. And so I think Landon on our third date was like, I'm going to marry you one day. And I was like, okay.
Okay, Pastor Landon.
That is awesome. Me, who had never dated somebody, I'd never dated anyone. And so I saw a lot of insecurities come up in me and our relationship. We even had a season right before we got engaged where we were not together because I was like, I don't even know. I've only known you. This is really scary. And so I saw the ways that led to some insecurity. The way that we dated was so high commitment from the get-go. And so there is a better way to do it, but this is also a not so great way.
Yeah. I think high commitment is definitely, whether you're spiritually, we're going to get married, or just you're just super committed to this person, can be dangerous. And then also, no commitment can also be dangerous, right? And this is a little bit more how I dated. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when Alex and I talk together, so don't judge me too harshly now. But we see no commitment a lot of times in girls and guys. But with girls, I think a lot of it stems from a fear of commitment. Because they're going back to our strings, right? They're afraid of being seen, and they're afraid of being known, and they're afraid of being heartbroken, and so they just choose not to. And I think that can be dangerous in a whole nother way because it's still out of insecurity. It's still out of this idea of being satisfied in someone else, right? Whether that's high commitment, I want to get married to this person to be satisfied, or that's no commitment. I want to, because I am scared of not being satisfied in this person. And then I think, too, we see the whole friends with benefits of like, there's no commitment, but they're still in relationships, like over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's dangerous, too, because again, it all comes down to, I'm trying to find my security in this person, whether I'm doing that by being highly committed to this person, whether I'm doing that by not committing to anyone because I'm afraid I won't find security, or whether I'm doing that finding security for the moment and being okay with that moment and doing that over and over again with someone else. So yeah, I think those are two ways to date, but both are rooted in the idea that we're going to find security in someone that we just never will. So
Yeah, that's good. So let me ask you guys this, because I think these these relate back to, yes, the Bible, even though it doesn't talk about dating. It relates back to the gospel. So what does these things that we're talking about, what does that have to do with Jesus?
yeah, I mean, I think going back to what we just said, like, ultimately, if our desires as girls is to be seen and to be known and to be loved, to feel secure in that, like I just said, we're never going to find that in someone here on earth. Like, I love Alex, and I'm so happy that I am married to him, and I do feel seen and known and loved by him, but he can't fully satisfy that desire in me. He will never be able to. My kid, when I have him, he's not going to fully satisfy that desire in me because they're imperfect. And so ultimately, the beautiful truth is we already are seen, known, and loved. We've always been seen, known, and loved by the one who created us. And so Leanna and I were talking about this of like, we are living, searching for these things in someone else, and we're robbing ourselves of the joy that we could have right now because that's already fulfilled in Jesus. And so I think ultimately it comes down to, like most things, a wrong view of God. We don't really believe that God sees us. We don't really believe that he can understand us. And we don't really believe that he loves us. And I think, like, that might sound harsh, but, like, if you're trying to find that in a relationship, you're believing the wrong thing about God. I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to add to that.
Yeah, I think just knowing that if you're gonna try to find all of that in a person that you're dating now, and then you get married, like you said, like you're gonna be like, oh, like this is it. No, it's not. Like it's a picture of what God is and his love for you, and it's the closest picture you'll see on this earth, but it is not perfect. And so to have those right expectations, you can have that same joy now, and you can be preparing yourself now to one day be a very healthy wife or husband simply by loving Jesus with all that you are in this moment.
Yeah, I think just that realization, like, dating and the way we date really does say something about our relationship with the Lord. And it really does say something about everything we do in life or don't do says something about what we believe about God. And so asking ourselves that now of like, how is this a reflection of my wrong view of who God is?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times what that turns into is not just a wrong view of God, but you are putting someone in the place of God. Like a person is becoming your God. And the truth is, any person, right, whether, even if it's a spouse, like they may be a good spouse, they may be a good boyfriend, they may be a good friend, but they're going to be a terrible God if you put them in that place in your life. Like, they were not designed to take on that role, that relationship in your life. That was set aside for one person, is Jesus. And so if we elevate anyone else to that level, you will be disappointed in dating, in marriage, in whatever relationship it is. You'll be disappointed in that. So what do we do with this? Like and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a couple weeks when we talk about how to date practically. But how do we take the way women were designed, the things we've talked about in Girls 101, and if we're not placing Jesus in his rightful place, what do we do with that for both the guys and the girls in the room?
I'll start off just by talking about this season and what that could look like for you to be leading yourself. I think Pastor Lynn had even hinted at that last week. But leading yourself in this season. And so I talked earlier about spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy can be just as dangerous as physical intimacy. I think it's important to say those things lead to physical intimacy, okay? So in marriage, you have spiritual, physical, and emotional intimacy, and those are all in their right place in the healthy boundary covenant of a God-fearing, loving marriage. Yet when you're single, you don't have that safe covenant of marriage. And so it's so important right now for you to know that you are responsible for your decisions, spiritual decisions. You are responsible for your faith. You are responsible for figuring out who is God and why did he decide to put me on this planet and what am I supposed to do with that one little life that I have. And so don't wait for a boyfriend or a husband one day to lead you spiritually because he's not going to do a perfect job at that. So lead yourself now. Fight sin now in your life, and you'll be setting yourself up for a healthier marriage one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure, guys, no diss on you. Seriously, some of you all, I know you and you guys are great.
You're trying.
But they are not at a place to lead you spiritually right now. What? They are not at a place to lead you spiritually right now. So, like, don't put that on them. Guys, don't put that on yourself. Like, guys and girls both, like, both of you, you are the person in charge of that. You are the person responsible for that. But at the same time, you don't have to do it all alone. And there are people that God has placed in your life that can help you figure out how to lead yourself. And that's not your boyfriend or girlfriend, okay? It's not. But it could be your small group leaders. It could be people you look up to. And so I would say, too, like, lead yourself and listen to the right voices. You're not alone, right? Listen to the voices in your life that you trust. I always tell my friends who are in college dating to find a married couple that you really respect, that you want their relationship, you want your future relationship to look somewhat like theirs, and listen to what they have to say. When you do start dating, ask them what they think about that person. Is this a good person for me to date? I know all three of us up here, we will tell you the straight up truth. Whether you want to hear it or not, we will tell you, hey, yeah, you should maybe date that person, and or like, no, what are you thinking?
Run.
Yes, run. So listen to the right voices. Lead yourself, but also know you're not alone, and find the right people to listen to, not your boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah. I would say good general rule of thumb, if you wouldn't trade situations with the person, don't get advice from them. Like, if you wouldn't trade places with them, if you don't desire to be in a relationship like they have, don't ask them for advice, right? That's kind of dumb. Don't do that. That doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, that's so good, guys. So we're getting ready to wrap up, and I would love to hear, just like, obviously your heart is for these students. That's why you guys are here. That's why you've devoted your time to be small group leaders, to invest in their lives. And so if you had to leave these high schoolers with one thing, as based on the things that we've talked about, what would you leave them with? Leanna, if you would go first.
Well, it's not fair because my senior small group girls are sitting in front of me, but I would say to them, to you, to get your gaze off of yourself in this season of life and behold God in his goodness and his glory. Because if you would see him, you would love him. I have walked in brokenness. I have tried to find myself being seen, known, and loved in the things of this world and in other people. And those are all broken roads that do not lead to security. The only place that you are going to find that security is in Jesus. So in this season of your life, spend your years seeking after him and figuring out, what does he say about me? Why am I here? That is your goal, is to see him and his goodness. And when you do that, even the hardships, even the things that you've had to walk through that are difficult because of something somebody else did or because of what you did, you'll be able to look at those and say, blessed be the name of the Lord. I still trust him. I still love him. I know he's still good. Yeah. And that only comes from knowing him and loving him and seeing him in all of his goodness. And like I said, if you would just see him, you would love him.
That's great.
Yeah, I think, man, that's great in every season, right? For all of us. Yeah, and I love that of like, he sees us and knows us and loves us. Why would we not try to do the same? Like, why would we not try to see him and know him and love him? I love that. I think that is so good. And I would say very similar thing to Leanna, and for our girls and for our guys, like, honor how God made you and honor who made you. So honor how you were made and honor the one who made you that way. For girls, really practically, like, when we look at the way that we think, right, it's confusing and it can be annoying that it's all connected, right? Like, that's the curse of it, is that it's all connected. But the blessing of it is that it's all connected. And what I mean by that is that I think so many times we try to attack this one thing, like we try to attack insecurity. How can I fix insecurity? Or how can I fix fear? Or how can I do this? But the beauty of it all being connected is that when we change, like Leanna was saying, our view of security being based on someone else or something else to being solely dependent on the Lord, who he is ultimately,